Hi everyone, it's Kristan Hawkins with Students for Life America and Students for Life Action. Just want to come to you today as we got news from the Supreme Court about the June medical services case that we've been waiting on for the past couple of months. And I wanted to go over a couple of just quick things for us to be thinking about what this case was really about, how the court decided this way, and what's going forward in what we're looking forward in the pro-life movement, what we need to be working towards. Okay, so let's go through some of the history of this case. This case was argued in March. Many of you all remember Students for Life was out there overnight, camping out overnight, reserving the pro-life coalition's rally space. And after hearing kind of the arguments that were made and the questions that were being asked of the attorneys during these oral arguments, I really haven't had a lot of hope going into this decision. It seemed like that the court didn't really want to reverse itself back on the earlier 2016 Hellerstedt decision. Now, if you all remember the 2016 decision, the Hellerstedt decision was a decision on Texas law that had been passed that had said that abortion facilities had to uphold the same surgical standards, safety standards as other outpatient ambulatory surgical centers. And in that ruling, the Supreme Court literally said that access to abortion trumps a woman's safety in abortion. And they said because of Roe, she has to have access to abortion. Therefore, it doesn't really matter if these abortion facilities aren't upholding the same safety standards as every other outpatient surgical center. Now, in that decision, Chief Justice John Roberts actually sided with the pro-life minority. So now we get to this case, this June medical services case. This was a Louisiana law that was very similar to the Texas law. However, the question before the court was a little different. The question was, does the abortion facility have standing? Because when this law was passed in the state of Louisiana, what happened was no woman sued the state of Louisiana for passing this common sense bill that basically prevents future Kermit Gosnells. What happened was the abortion industry, those who profit off abortions, who know that these surgical standards, that these these common sense standards that the state had the right to impose upon these outpatient surgical centers, these abortion facilities, to protect their citizens, that was going to cost them more money. So the abortion facility actually sued the state, and they sued the state on behalf of future clients. So that was really the question that was supposed to be before the court was, does an abortion facility who's going to profit off of abortion actually have legal standing to bring a suit, on behalf of their future client when it's really not a woman? It's funny because the abortion industry acts like they're about empowering women, but really they don't even trust women to bring a lawsuit when they need to bring a lawsuit. They have to do it for us. So yeah, that was interesting. So that's what this was a case was about. Sadly, what happened today was that Chief Justice Roberts became a turncoat. He flip-flopped that, and he even said that even though he still agrees with his vote in the minority, the pro-life minority in the Hellerstedt decision, that these abortion facilities should uphold very common sense safety standards, that because it was already decided, stare decisis, because it was already decided that we really couldn't rehash this. And to be honest with you, that to me is this definition of a coward. Here is a man who literally says he agrees that these abortion facilities should have to uphold these very common sense standards, but then says, well, it's already been decided from the court and it's been decided wrongly, but we can't go back and reverse ourselves. And I think this is very telling, and it's very telling for a lot of cases that we've seen come from Chief Justice Roberts. In fact, the Obamacare cases, we heard about this, and he actually was quoted in some of his statements when he wrote the deciding opinion for upholding Obamacare. It's interesting because here's somebody who says he agrees basically with conservatives on a lot of these cases, but his position as Chief Justice is to uphold the dignity and the honor of the Supreme Court. Therefore, he doesn't want the court to be making broad, sweeping decisions that reverse itself, that show that maybe the court was wrong, that he wants to uphold the prestige of the court. And I think, to be honest with you, what freaking prestige of the court? We literally have had 60 million preborn baby girls and boys be taken from us, be slaughtered, be dismembered in the womb while we're waiting on 5 justices in robes to make a courageous decision, to stand up. And that's really what it comes down to. I don't even think, like, you think about, the Supreme Court having honor and dignity. What honor and dignity? This is a court that has, for more than 40 years, has gone against science and biology. Because remember, the Roe decision said, we don't know when life begins. That's a question for scientists and philosophers. Well, we know when life begins, right? The vast majority, like 98% of biologists, will agree that life begins at conception. We have congressional testimony. We have ultrasounds in the womb. We know when life begins, but the Supreme Court doesn't want to reverse Roe versus Wade because it doesn't want to make a broad, sweeping decision. It doesn't want to have to admit that once again, on a fundamental human rights question, they were wrong. But that day is going to come. So I think today shows us a few things. 1, we only have 4 pro-life Supreme Court justices on the Supreme Court. We cannot count Chief Justice Roberts as a pro-life, Supreme Court member. Even if he says he's pro-life, even if he says he's against, abortion, we know we can't trust him because fundamentally he's a coward. He cares more about upholding the dignity of the court, the prestige of the court, than doing the right thing. And cowards are always very dangerous. So we have 4 Supreme Court justices who are pro-life, who are willing to reverse Roe versus Wade, I believe, and do the right thing and let states actually decide abortion policy, which, by the way, the majority of our generation actually agrees with, that they actually want a vote and voice when it comes to abortion policy. So we have 4 Supreme Court justices. We now know John Roberts is absolutely a coward, and he's going to choose the court and the honor of the court over the right thing. We also know from today that the Supreme Court now has said twice that access to abortion trumps a woman's safety. This is really the extremism of Roe versus Wade, isn't it? I think a lot of people, they think of Roe versus Wade as like a moderate thing. And really, when a lot of the pollsters talk about Roe versus Wade, they kind of say it's moderate, right? They say, well, Roe versus Wade allow abortion in the first 3 months. Well, Roe versus Wade and its companion case, Doe versus Bolton, allow abortion for any reason up until the moment of birth, and sometimes taxpayer funded. Roe versus Wade is actually extreme. We have one of those extreme abortion laws in the world. We know this, right? We rank up there with North Korea and China and Canada with our extreme abortion laws. Because of this extremist decision, I don't even want to call law, it wasn't passed by Congress, the people who are charged with making and creating laws. This was a decision that was handed down by 7 men on the Supreme Court. Because of the extremism of Roe, now the Supreme Court says they have to allow dangerous Kermit Gosnell-like abortion facilities that literally kill women, and they can't shut them down because doing so would hamper a woman's access to abortion, and that her access to abortion trumps her safety. In the pro-life movement, we want to shut down abortion. We want to shut down abortion facilities because we know 2 people walk into that facility and 1 person walks out. In some cases, in America, right now, even with legal abortion, 2 people walk in and 0 walk out. Women do die today in America in 2020 from legal abortion. If you like any limits on abortion, if you think there should be any limits on abortion, maybe there shouldn't be abortion maybe you don't agree with everything I have to say about abortion, but maybe you agree that abortion shouldn't be used as a method of birth control, or abortion shouldn't be used when a mom finds out the gender of her baby and doesn't like that sex. She doesn't want a boy, she wants a girl. If you agree that abortion shouldn't be allowed in those cases, then guess what? You don't like Roe versus Wade. But many people don't understand just how extreme Roe versus Wade is. But that's what it is. Again, today, Roe versus Wade is guaranteed that these dangerous abortion facilities are getting a get out of jail, essentially what's a get out of jail free card, that they can continue to operate substandard healthcare clinics that don't even meet basic safety standards in the state of Louisiana, because what they do is vend abortions. Now, if they did any other surgeries, if they did any other operations, they would have to uphold those standards. But because what they do is end human lives, and that right to end human lives has been determined by Roe versus Wade, they don't have to do anything. They don't have to conform. It's shocking, really. It's really just shocking. Even Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, has said that, Roe versus Wade really isn't about, this isn't a pro-woman thing. It wasn't a pro-woman ruling. It was actually a pro-abortionist ruling. It gave abortionists the right to kill for any reason, and now without even adhering to common sense safety standards. So that's where we are. I've given you some of the history and context of the decision. Now, where do we go? I think today, November 2020, just got very real. Our case, our mantra of vote pro-life first, got very real. Because we know now, for certain, we have 4 Supreme Court justices. If we have any hope of reversing Roe versus Wade, of sending the decision of abortion back to the states where it was before January 1973, then do you know what we have to do? We have to elect a pro-life president. We have to elect a pro-life Senate. President Trump has upheld his promise. Today we found that he has upheld his promise and appointing only pro-life Supreme Court justices, and Justice Gorsuch and Justice Kavanaugh. And the Senate has done their job in confirming pro-life justices. But now we're faced with this fact that we're not there yet. We don't have 5 justices. In fact, I've been saying I don't even think we need 5. We probably need 6 because of this ability, this thought a lot of people have to be afraid to make sweeping decisions. That we're going to need 6 pro-life justices who are willing to do the deed, not just 5. So that means we're going to need 2 more pro-life Supreme Court justices. How do we get to that point? By electing a pro-life president, by electing a pro-life Senate. And today we can be angry at President Bush for appointing and nominating Chief Justice Roberts. I certainly am. But that doesn't mean we need to give up what we're doing. That means we continue to go forward. And we already know that President Trump has upheld his promises. So we have to continue to talk about why voting pro-life first matters. We have to continue to be engaged and care and know that it's all going to come down to this election. It's going to go be on the wire. So I hope you stand with us. I hope you're signing up with Students for Life Action. Everything we're doing to get pro-life Gen members to volunteer for our call squad, for our door squad, to get out. We're going to be contacting, actually knocking on, I think, 500,000 doors. We're going to be calling more than 1 million voters in key states to remind them why voting pro-life first matters. So I hope you'll sign up. You can go to studentsforlifeaction.org. You can sign up for our email list. You can go to voteprolifefirst.org and sign up right now for our call and door squad. I hope you will do that. We need to recruit at least 1,500 volunteers in order to make this happen, to contact these voters in key states. And many of these elections, whether it's a state election or a national election, come down to just a handful of voters. And you can help us make that difference. And right now, today, we know why voting pro-life first matters. Today shows us just how close we are and how important November 2020 is. Thanks, guys.